All right, welcome to Mentoring Matters. I am Kay Corinne. I am here to journey with you through this process of becoming the best version of ourselves as possible. All right, today's episode is about, let me check my notes. Listen, I've been pretty excited about getting this off the ground. If I could just have a moment of transparency. I've been planning on doing some type of mentoring channel for years. Years with an S. And I just didn't make the time. That's the bottom line. I did not have the discipline because inspiration will lack sometime. We have to be disciplined to go to see our goals all the way through. So, episode 4 is where we are today. Like, share, subscribe, comment. My goal is to, and as I'm giving advice or guidance or suggestions, I'm going to be sharing my journey as well. So my goal is to make 30 videos before I even promote this channel. So I'm at 4 of 30, so I got a ways to go. So I need to finish March strong and then dive into April. So I'm actually recording episodes 4 and 5 today, but I'm hit you guys with a shirt change so that you can tell the difference between the videos. And so today's video is about, well, I don't even want to say video. Today's lesson, and I think I mentioned on my intro video that I have a background in education. Well, not even just a background. I am an educator. So let's use the term lessons, okay? We may change it, us in this Mentoring Matters community, we may want to change it. So today's lesson is on gratitude, because gratitude is such a powerful, untapped resource. That is the truth. When you tap into gratitude, and so what gratitude is being intentional about what you're grateful for. Our natural inclination and our ego, especially in this age, 2023, in this era, this dispensation, and on top of that, we are Americans. I am an American. Hopefully I can reach people around the world, but I am an American. I expect an American audience largely. And we got some stuff going on. And we need. We're kind of like a consumer-based society. And when I say consumer, I don't just mean financial purchases. I mean, we consume. So when you're in the habit of just, I need this, I need that, materials, resources, things that people are going to do for me, things that are not right, things that are not perfect in my life yet, things that I still want, we will forget about what we have. And it's not just a kumbaya hippie kind of vibe. There's a science behind changing from what I need to what I have, and the switch that it clicks in you mentally. It'll help cut that ego down and cut that consciousness up, because it'll help you practice presence. Practicing presence means you are in the moment that you are in. You're not thinking about yesterday. You're not thinking about tomorrow. You're not thinking about 5 minutes from now. You're not thinking about 5 minutes ago. But just every waking moment of your life, you are taking it all in, having tapped into this experience that we are having as humans. Because it's temporary. It's finite as hell. We come here, we leave here, the next crop comes in. So because we know our life is but the blink of an eye when it comes to the universe and the light years and the expanse of life itself, we're this big. And which is great, because we're a part of this larger organism that just keeps growing, and we want to grow with it. And so we can't get too caught up in the times. We have to be caught up in the seat of the soul and the search for self, right? and being aligned with self. So in doing that, we have to focus on what we have gained instead of what we want to gain. And that is the spirit of gratitude. I have a whiteboard in my house where I kind of write my to-do list, my kids' to-do list, messages and things like that. And usually the board is filled with to-dos for them, for me. I even put my partners to-do on there. Let's just all be accountable and in the know. And that helps us to check in with one another. Like if he wants to check in with them, like, hey, did you get this done? I saw it on the board and I'm not home yet. Or if they want to support him, they can do that. Like, oh, how's that going? So it's a communication device as well as a accountability tool. And it just keeps the household on the same page. Everybody is walking past that board, right? So yesterday on the board, I wrote everything that I am grateful for. And it was largely relationships. And as I wrote it, this is what I'm trying to explain. I was in a so-so mood. I won't say I was down. I wasn't up. I was just so-so. I was just average. As I started to write down, I'm grateful for the relationship that I have with my parents, with my mom and my dad. Because I am. I'm grateful for the relationship I have with my maternal grandmother. My maternal grandmother is 79 years old and we're really close. She's my living ancestor that I have the greatest bond with and my only grandparent that is still alive. And I just thought about, because as you are writing, you're starting off like, I guess I'm grateful for this. And it starts from that to by the time you finish that sentence, your mind is tapping into, like I started thinking about when my granny took me to Kitty Land. I was 4 when my grandmother made me my own room in her house when I was a kid. When my grandmother came over on the weekends to redo my hair, and she didn't think my mom was good at doing hair. Which she's not. And I mean, she did the best she could for as long as she had to. And then she started sending my sister and I to the beauty salon, to the shop. But as I wrote down, I'm grateful for my granny, just saying that word granny, and I spoke it out loud as I wrote it, and it tapped me into all of these fuzzy feelings that began to reprogram my mind, because the mind impacts the body and the spirit. That's why you have to protect the mind, in my opinion. You're protecting the mind more than you're protecting the spirit, because the mind has the ability to infect the spirit with that which you don't want in, whatever that is. The mind is that portal. The eyes are the gateway to the mind. So after I wrote about appreciating my mom, my dad, my granny, I included my stepdad. My mom is remarried. He has been an awesome support to my mom, and he's always been kind to me. And that also goes to show that we are never too old for parental figures. Now, I'm 38 years old, which I mentioned, 38 years young. I believe my mom married my stepdad. She was married to my dad back in the 90s, the 80s. Yeah, the 80s to the 90s. But she's been married to my stepdad for maybe 4 or 5 years. So when I met him, I was already in my 30s. And his love and his support have still positively impacted my life and given me a whole nother dad. So when we think that it's too late, people are already set in their ways. You're never too old to care about another figure, and I'm gonna say a parental type figure, to come into your life and love on you and be there for you. Okay, so I wrote about Tone. His name is Tony, my mom's husband. Then I went to talk about my partner and his family. I had a negative relationship for the most part with my ex-husband's family for whatever reason. And listen, when I was growing up, when I was in my early 20s, I was the girl that people wanted to bring home because they knew their family was gonna love me. And I was used to that. I was used to that excitement and acceptance from my counterparts' families. So it was a whole new ball game for me to get married, which is pretty big, and have multiple children, which now creates a bloodline that I am connected to this family. So they're my family by law, and they're my family in bloodline, because now my children are your grandchildren, my children are your children's first cousins. That is a bonding, right? And they did not rock with your girl. Can you believe it? I mean, there are always exceptions. There were 2 or 3 cool people, but for the most part, I just wasn't accepted or embraced by that family for whatever reason. Probably because they saw what we couldn't see, which was that we just were not meant to be. And it just came across in a way more so like demonizing me. But I said all of that to say, my partner's family has really embraced me and made me feel like I was a part of that family. And because of what I went through in the past, I know that's something to be grateful for. I know his sisters liking me. One of his sisters FaceTimed me. The other sister welcomed me into her home for like a week when we went on vacation, where she lives in Arizona. Like, it's been the other sister allowed me to attend her son's graduation dinner. He has 3 sisters, and that is something to be grateful for sisterhood and for acceptance. And so as I wrote it, again, you started with like, oh yeah, they cool. But as you keep on writing, you like, no, this is pretty amazing. I'm glad this is this way, because it could be another way, you know? So now I've talked about my relationship with my parents, my grandparent, my step-parent, my significant other and his family. I went on to talk about his relationship with my daughters, because it's been positive. I have a positive relationship with my ex-husband, and we worked for it. But with my co-parent, and I brought some concerns to him this week and some additional support that I needed, and he was receptive, you know. So that's something to be grateful for. I'm gonna work on these I don't think that I mentioned that I am an educator, because that is the career field that I found myself in, and I love it. But I originally went to school for broadcast communications. I used to be an anchor woman on Chicago State News, student-run media, and then I ended up transferring to Eastern, where I also had a radio show. And one criticism that I have gotten my entire broadcasting amateur career is the ums. Again, I want to operate in transparency. I'm going to pull those ums out of my vocabulary. I think maybe I'll transition into a because it's really just a tool to push that next thought forward. But I don't like it. I don't like umming. Sharing that with you all so you can hold me accountable in future videos. I went from those family members to thinking about the positive relationship I have with my own children. I have 3 daughters, and they are 20, 10, and 9. Oh no, there was 2 birthdays. Bad mom moment. They are 20, 11, and 10. All right? And they are great kids, all 3 of them. And they are acutely aware, because they're living and going through life, what some people deal with in their households. They have social media, they have friends, so they know that the household that the home that I have attempted to provide for them is not common. You know, I allow my children who have opinions to speak their piece, to let me know when they disagree with something. Of course, respectfully, I give them grace. I'm not a super strict disciplinarian, and I don't feel like I need to be. I was 12 years old telling my mom and grandma, don't you think grabbing a switch from a tree or an extension cord and attacking someone who you love is barbaric and a semblance of slavery? Listen, when I said I was getting on folks' nerve, oh my goodness. I was fortunate because my grandmother wasn't quite there at the time. Shout out, Granny, I do love you. But my mother was kind of open. She didn't kids are to be seen and not heard me. She didn't do that to me. And I believe she didn't do that to me because of the negative impact it had on her life. She didn't automatically believe adults over me. When there was a conflict between myself and a teacher, she actually heard me out and she made her own call. So my mother was instrumental in breaking some of those generational curses I feel that Black people encountered with the community parenting, people getting drunk or high or just having a bad day and putting their hands on your kids and just saying your kids were disrespectful for not bringing them a beer or for not stopping to engage in conversation when your kids are headed somewhere. There, if we're being honest, like the physical discipline, and I'm not saying that I don't want my kids, because I do, but it is rare, because I've always believed that there was a better way to deal with your children. I won't even say gentle parenting because that's a buzzword. I would say reasonable parenting. And when my oldest daughter was growing up, I allowed her to tell me if she did not feel supported, like maybe once a month or every 6 months. It would change because I was very inconsistent. But those, hey, are you getting what you need from me as a parent, conversations, those did happen. And so one of the things my partner said when I met him is like, man, I may have been a genius if I could come to my mom and say, hey mom, when you did that, I think this. And the mom would say, you know what, that's reasonable, or kudos to you, or great point, honey, or whatever. He's like, man, you almost got backhanded for having something to say. So that is something that my mom kind of started with me, though. There were a lot of influences telling her that my mouth was too big, that I was too precocious, I was a know-it-all, I was not respectful. I've never cursed at my mom. When I was a teenager, I had honors classes. I went to school every day. I didn't ditch, I didn't drink, I didn't smoke. I had altercations as a result of my environment and protecting myself, but I was never a bad kid. But the independent thought caused it to seem like I was a bad kid. I refused to be victimized even when I was a young person. But I said all that to say that in my gratitude, I wrote about how I appreciate that my children appreciate me. Almost every day, my children tell me that they love me. My daughter, who has moved out, is committed to keeping me in a loop with her life. Some kids grow up, move out, and they're like, peace. My daughter is consistently calling me. This is what's going on. We're in a group chat. Me, my mom, my oldest daughter, and my sister, my little sister. I only have one. And just being grateful for that mother-daughter bond that I have with my children. It almost got emotional when I was writing it. And so here I am. I've been writing for 30 minutes just about gratitude in relation to relationships in my life. Not money, not what people would call typical blessings, buying something new, getting a new opportunity. It had nothing to do with my career, my educational background. It had nothing to do with my house. I eventually went into that. Like, you know what? I'm grateful to have a home, to own a home that I can take my time and fix up. I want to do my basement. I want to do my attic. I want to start to hold different family functions in my backyard. And I want my house to be a hub of familial ties. And that's kind of a challenge because I don't live in the city, because I couldn't afford it. Like, I wanted to live in Chicago. I was renting in Chicago. And when it was time to buy, the prices of those homes, I just could not swing it. So I ended up coming out to not even, I will say I don't live in a nice area, but it's very much so like an urban area, minus some of the costs because it's so far out of the city. But I do leave my house and see people that need some support every single day at the gas station, and it's urban. I'll say that. So I say all that to say that as I practiced my gratitude and I tapped into everything that's meaningful to me. I became inspired. I mean, my mood changed. I was in a great mood after that. I was able to be more effective for the rest of the day. I approached the rest of the day with such a different spirit because I had reprogrammed. And there are books that mention this from Deepak Chopra. He teaches on meditation and consciousness and the journey within. Deepak Cole with it. And he talks about choosing happiness. How do we choose happiness? And one of those key ways is practicing gratitude. What do I have that I could not have? What do I experience that I want to continue to experience? What have I been spared that I want to continue to be spared? That is the spirit of gratitude. Is it realigns you with self, with happiness, with relationships that mean something to you and you almost take them for granted. There's also challenges around gratitude. So you can Google gratitude challenges. There are different ways to do it. Or you can simply wake up every day and say out of your mouth, I am grateful that I woke up, and add one more thing every day. You woke up, you got your first one. Now what's your second one? And the other thing that you can do is something that I attempted and I wasn't fully successful. I think I'll try it again this summer, but it's called 100 Days of Happiness. We're on social media, but you don't have to do it on social media, actually. You can do it in your private life, but sometimes the social media, it inspires others and it kicks up that trend and then they'll hold you accountable. So 100 Days of Happiness is every single day you make a post, something that you're happy about, which could be 100 days of gratitude, or you could stick with the term happiness for 100 days. And when you're done, it's supposed to have you in this, I'm old school in some way. One of my favorite movies of all time is The Last Dragon. If you've never seen The Last Dragon with Bruce Leroy, the full movie is on YouTube. I looked into it. But you just feel like you're in your glow when you actually look at everything you have going for you. What? Versus going on social media and looking at everything that people say they have going for them. You see the difference? You're being on social media, comparing yourself to others versus being on social media to show and express your gratitude for what you already have. And again, I'm using the term have loosely. We're not talking about material possessions, though they can be included. So I think I've gone over what gratitude is, ways to practice gratitude, but you can always find additional resources, why practicing gratitude is so powerful, again, because it hits the reset on your mind. It purifies you. It causes you to appreciate people. You will reach out to people you have not reached out to often because you're like, man, you really were there for me at some point. Or you'll take better care of your home and create an oasis that is very comfortable for you, that is inspiring to you because you were like, wait a minute, how many Americans are homeless? How many people globally are facing disease? We have modern medicine here, and places where they don't have modern medicine, you have things to be grateful for as well. But my point is, if you think about everything that could not be versus everything that could not be ideal in your life, and it is even anywhere close to ideal, it's going to motivate you. It's going to inspire you. It's going to make you happy. It's going to give you the warm and fuzzies. It's going to raise that vibration. And then you can harness that positive energy that you've created and you can push it out into the world. And it can be for the betterment of you, your friends, your family, your network, your coworkers. There's no end in sight if you're practicing gratitude every day, especially for 100 days. I'm not going to overcommit and say I'm going to do it right now, because that's in my nature. My default is like, yes, let's do it. Hold on. Let me get through a few more videos before I start making commitments to 100-day challenges in tandem with this community. I may be doing a little one privately. But I just want to encourage everyone to never lose sight of what you are grateful for. Be intentional about speaking those things, about writing those things down, and see where it takes you. See where a gratitude journey takes you. Share with your friends, with your family. You can do a gratitude journey with a friend, have an accountability partner. Like, listen, girl, every day I'm going to text you what I'm grateful for. You text me what you're grateful for every day. And it helps to just center us in the most positive way possible. And it's so simple. That's one of the things that I want people to take from this channel and from these lessons is less is more. And the simplicity of living life in this most natural way, in this most pure and positive way, is going to take us places. Watch and see. Believe me, trust in me. If you don't trust anything else on this channel, believe that a simplistic life, taking away all the encumberments and complications and getting down to the bare bones of what it means to be a human being living with purpose, gratitude, positivity, and tapped into self, nothing can stop you. When there is no enemy within, no exterior enemy can hurt you, you'll have nothing else to fear. You'll start ridding yourself of anxiety. You'll find yourself at peace in every situation, because life still won't be perfect once you tap into the simplicity of self. All right. It's been great for me. I hope you all enjoyed this video, this lesson. Please like, share, subscribe, and always remember, mentoring matters. Have a good one.